Incredible revelation. Pastor's hidden prayer vigil for missing woman exposed life-changing truth. In Maplewood, the town was shaken to its core. When Sarah Thompson, a bright-eyed 25-year-old, went missing, whispers began to ripple through the white picket fences and red barns. Pastor John Walker, widely cherished, felt the weight of despair settle over him like a dark cloud. As he stood at the pulpit, his heart ached for Sarah's family, those familiar faces that struggled day by day, trying to stay afloat in a world that felt so unforgiving. The urgency to act surged within him. Something had to be done. John gathered the congregation, but not just for a typical service. He invited all, regardless of their backgrounds, to an underground prayer vigil. This was a call to unity, a plea to stretch beyond social classes and hidden judgments. "Let us come together," he urged with trembling hands, "for Sarah and for each other." The air buzzed with anticipation as people trickled into the church, some familiar, some ghosts from the past, clutching grudges and silence. As prayer requests poured forth, the vigil took on a life of its own, a flickering flame of hope igniting beneath the dimmed lights. At first, it was simply an emotional outpouring, filled with tears and longing. But soon, those prayers turned into raw confessions. A mother revealed her fear of losing her job. A father spoke of his shame for not providing enough. Shadows of bias emerged, simmering just beneath the surface. The realization stung. The town that once prided itself on being intertwined was splintered with judgments, silent echoes of financial struggles staining perceptions. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The stars twinkled like 1,000 worried eyes, and John stood at the center of this gathering storm. All at once, the air thickened with fear. The rawness of hidden truths cut through the night. The stories shared represented years of unspoken grievances. Old grudges resurfaced, pushing against the hope that had begun to ripple through the room. A flood of testimonies painted a vivid picture of struggles that had long been ignored. Faces twisted with emotions so deep, it was as if they were seeing one another for the first time. Just as the vigil began to lift hearts, a shocking truth emerged about Sarah's disappearance, a revelation that paralyzed the atmosphere. Gasps erupted as disbelief swirled. The very foundation of the community trembled, and questions flooded forth. How far are they willing to go for forgiveness? Would they allow past prejudices to dictate their future? The weight of Sarah's absence meant more than just finding a missing person. It pushed the town towards reckoning with its own heart. Then, as they lingered in pregnant silence, the church door swung open. A figure silhouetted against the warm glow of the lantern stood there. The collective breath caught in their throats, hearts pounding as they awaited the identity of this unexpected savior or a harbinger of fractures yet unearthed. John's eyes met the shadowy form, uncertainty lingering in the air like the soothing hum of a forgotten song, asking the unthinkable. Was this the miracle they'd been praying for, or merely the beginning of deeper divides? The figure stepped into the church, and the air shifted. It was Emily, Sarah's closest friend. Despite her frail appearance, her presence filled the space with a potent mixture of hope and desperation. Tears glistened in her eyes, reflecting the lantern light, and her chest heaved as she took in the sight of the congregation. "Emily," John called out, stepping forward with a mix of concern and relief. The tension in the room hung thicker than the humidity of the summer night. Every eye now locked on her. "What happened? Do you know where Sarah is?" With a shaky breath, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. The moment felt surreal. It was as if time had slowed, holding its breath along with everyone else. "I found this at her place." Emily's voice quivered. It was hidden under her bed. John took the paper, careful and tentative. He unfolded it as the room descended into silence, the kind that amplifies every sound, like the distant rustle of leaves or the quiet thud of hearts pounding. The words on the yellowed paper had the weight of 1,000 secrets, a journal entry, a confession. I never wanted anyone to know, John read aloud, sensing the weight behind each word. But sometimes you have to choose between the life you want and the life you live. I can't bear the thought of disappointing everyone I need to escape. The crowd gasped collectively, the shock palpable. John scanned the faces of his congregation, confusion and heartache painted on each one. Their beloved Sarah felt more like a stranger now. The truth tore through them like sharp glass. The realization that the smiling girl they had known harbored an unbearable struggle, hidden beneath a facade of happiness. What does it mean? A voice broke the stillness, trembling with emotion. Escape from what? From this place, Emily whispered, her voice barely audible, choked with sorrow. From the expectations, the judgments, everything. She felt trapped. A murmur spread through the crowd, a wave of shared understanding, an acknowledgement of their collective blindness. In the quest for community, they had unwittingly mirrored everything Sarah feared. The burden of maintaining appearances was a heavy shroud they all carried. We've been so caught up in our own lives, another voice chimed in, revealing the crux of the issue. Afraid to admit our flaws, thinking we would lose each other if we showed them. The night shifted again, a deeper understanding echoing through the glimmering starlight outside. John stood taller, the weight of responsibility shifting onto his shoulders. They couldn't let Sarah's struggles go in vain. This is our chance, he declared. A chance to confront our own truths, to drop our facades. We must be the community she needed. In that moment, renewed hope cracked through the despair, igniting a flame within their souls. They could no longer shy away. They had to embrace vulnerability to forge true connections. But at that very instant, the church doors swung open once more. A heavy-set man entered, breathless with panic. You need to come quickly. There's been a sighting. He couldn't finish. Everyone's hearts jolted, each face frozen in anticipation. What do you mean? John pressed, trying to make sense of this new urgency. But the question lingered like an unfinished prayer in the charged air. Every heartbeat echoed the same haunting question. Was this the moment they'd been waiting for, or another heartbreaking twist in Sarah's story? The heavy-set man, still panting, glanced back at the congregation. The faces staring at him were a mix of confusion and curiosity. There was a sighting just a few miles away from here. A woman, they think it might be Sarah. His voice cracked, the weight of hope and dread battling it out. A gasp echoed through the crowd, and John felt the rush of adrenaline hit him. Every heartbeat thundered in his ears, drowning out the murmurs of the congregation. Where? He demanded, refocusing his thoughts. Where was she seen? A friend of mine was driving home and saw someone near the old park by Maple Street. The man explained, his hands trembling. They didn't get too close, but she recognized Sarah from an old photo. Then what are we waiting for? Emily interjected, urgency coloring her voice. We have to go now. Her plea rippled through the crowd, fueling the fire of determination igniting in their hearts. You heard her. John rallied the group, his heart pounding with hope. Let us split up. Some of us can search the park, while others should canvass the neighborhood. He caught Emily's eye, her gaze shining with fear and determination. We're not losing her again. We're going. The congregation nodded, a collective sense of purpose overcoming the somber air that had enveloped them just moments before. They moved swiftly, gathering flashlights, jackets, and anything else that might help. John felt a renewed sense of responsibility guiding him. He couldn't let Sarah's story end in tragedy. As they scattered into the warm night, John found himself walking alongside Emily. Their footsteps were heavy but determined. Do you really think it's her? He asked, though deep down, hope surged through him. It has to be, Emily replied, her voice steady, though her vulnerability shone through. She wouldn't just leave not without a reason. She wanted us to understand. John reflected on this. What had Sarah been trying to escape? The burden of their unspoken truths weighed heavily on him. Would they really be more than just a facade tonight? Or was it all too late? The park came into view, its shadows stretching across the path. There was an unsettling silence enveloping it, the rustling of leaves whispering secrets. Each step felt like stepping into a mystery, a culmination of all they had discovered about Sarah. As they entered the park, a flicker of movement caught John's eye. He squinted into the darkness. Was it just his imagination? Or had he really seen something? He turned to Emily, his heart racing once more. Did you see that? He asked, his voice low. What? She replied, scanning the area with wide eyes. But before John could say anything else, a silhouette emerged from the trees. A woman's figure, cloaked in shadows, stood just beyond the reach of the park lights. Recognition flooded his senses. Every fiber of his being screamed for him to take a step forward, to reach toward her. Sarah? He called hesitantly, barely believing his own voice. The figure froze and turned slowly, the moonlight dancing across her face. For a heartbeat, time stopped. Hope hung in the air, palpable and sweet. But as the silhouette stepped closer, John felt a chill run down his spine. The resemblance was uncanny, yet something felt off. Is it really you? Emily whispered, searching the depths of the woman's eyes for answers. As they drew closer, the answer hung like a fragile thread between them, ready to unravel. Just as the truth was within grasp, an unexpected twist tore through the night. The woman smiled not with relief, but with something darker. Who are you? John stammered, confusion gripping his heart. And then she spoke, her voice echoing like a bell tolling through the night. Was this woman a savior or a specter of Sarah's past? The woman's smile widened, revealing a hint of mischief under the shadows. You really don't recognize me, do you? Her voice was smooth, almost hypnotic, wrapping around John and Emily like tendrils of fog. I'm not the one you're looking for, but perhaps I hold the key to finding her. John's heart raced. A mix of hope and unease washed over him. What do you mean? He demanded, unable to hide the desperation in his voice. Sarah is lost, but not in the way you think, the woman said, stepping forward, her features becoming clearer. There was an unsettling familiarity to her face, an echo of Sarah's, yet marked with a pain that hinted at deeper troubles. You all believe she's just gone, but the truth is far more complicated. Emily stepped in front of John, her protective instincts igniting. You could be anyone. Why should we trust you? She squared her shoulders, a fierce fire blazing in her eyes. The woman chuckled softly, devoid of malice. Because, dear girl, I was part of her story. I've heard her whispers in the dark. The choices she made, they were not just about running away. Confusion swirled in John's head. Who are you? And how can you help us? I am someone who has walked the same path, she replied. Sarah sought answers, much like you do now. But she was also running away from the very truth you all seem too afraid to confront. A gust of wind swept through the park, rustling leaves in agitation. The moment was electric, and John could feel the weight of every silent breath taken around him. The congregation, now scattered through the park, were searching, their urgency palpable, but he didn't care. All his focus sharpened on this woman. What do you mean? He pressed, his frustration boiling. Are you saying that she chose to disappear? Why? The woman tilted her head, her expression softening for a moment as if she was seeing beyond John. Sometimes, the heart breaks in ways that make you feel unseen, even among those closest to you. She wanted to step away to find out who she was, away from the lives you all thought you knew. Emily's eyes glistened with tears, her heart beginning to break open. But Weevee waited. Weevee looked for her. I know, the woman said gently, and her silence has been deafening. But what if that silence was meant to lead you to your own truths? What if you weren't meant to find her, but rather to confront what she left behind? John felt his breath hitch. Everything was falling apart around him, and yet his resolve was hardening. What do we need to do? The woman leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Change the narrative. Instead of a search for Sarah, it must become a search for understanding. She's out there, but you may need to face what she means to you first. John looked at Emily, seeing the panic mirrored in her eyes. He grasped her hand tightly, the warmth offering comfort. We can do that. We need to do that. We can't let fear guide us anymore. With a flicker of something like satisfaction crossing her features, the woman stepped back into the murky shadows. Then follow me. I can show you where she may lead you. But remember, the truth can sometimes be thorny. As she disappeared into the darkness, John felt a stirring of both excitement and dread. Was this the moment they had awaited, or merely a diversion? John, what if Emily's voice trembled? What if we don't like what we find? What if we don't find anything at all? He replied, a resolve building in his chest. Either way, we owe it to her, no, to ourselves to discover what this all means. They took a hesitant step forward, guided only by the sliver of hope ignited by a stranger's words and the search for a woman who had become more than just a name. But as they ventured further into the park, John's mind raced with unanswered questions about Sarah, the woman's motives, and what awaited them in the shadows. What painful revelation would they uncover? The air was thick with anticipation as John and Emily stepped deeper into the shadows of the park. The trees loomed overhead like silent sentinels, their branches intertwining to create an almost stifling darkness. Each step echoed louder than the last, merging with the frantic beating of John's heart. He glanced sideways at Emily, her eyes wide with uncertainty, and he squeezed her hand a little tighter. "Are you ready for this?" he asked, trying to mask his own fear with a reassuring smile. "I don't know," she whispered, shaking her head. "But we have to find out what she meant. We can't keep running away from this." A cold breeze rustled past them, carrying a hint of fragrant flowers mixed with the damp earth. It felt alive as if the very environment was urging them onward. The woman's words echoed in his mind. It was time to confront the past, a past tangled in emotions neither of them fully understood. "Look!" Emily suddenly gasped, her breath catching. Ahead of them, in a small clearing illuminated by the faint glow of the moon, stood a figure. It was the woman from before, but now, she appeared to be waiting, almost expectant. "That must be where she wants us to go," John said, his voice steadied by newfound determination. As they approached, the woman turned to them. She was framed by a circle of flickering candles that seemed to melt into the darkness. Her expression was somber, and John could see the weight of her own story mirrored in her eyes. "Welcome," she said softly. "This is where the heart of your journey begins." "What do you mean by that?" John replied, his grip on Emily tightening. The fears he had pushed aside surged back, but he pushed through them, demanding clarity. "Here," she gestured towards the candles, "is a place of remembrance. Each flame represents a piece of Sarah's truth, one that you must face to uncover who she truly is and what she has been searching for." Emily stepped closer, drawn by an unseen force. The delicate flicker of the flames cast shadows that danced across her face, while confusion contorted her features. "But how? How do we even start?" "By letting go," the woman replied, her voice soothing yet firm. "You cannot find answers until you confront your own hurts. This will be your chance to voice what you think you've lost. Candles of grief need to be lit before the light of understanding can shine." John's mind raced. Let go? How could he? But he knew what they had been carrying was more than just the search for Sarah. It was a weight of regrets, unspoken fears, and insecurities they had both wrestled with since Sarah's disappearance. "Go on," the woman encouraged gently. "Speak your heart." He inhaled deeply, stepping forward as he felt the hot breath of fear surge anew. "Why did you leave us, Sarah? Why didn't you trust us?" His voice broke a little, the weight of longing pressing down on his chest until it felt like he couldn't breathe. A tear slipped down Emily's cheek. "I was scared too. Scared that we wouldn't understand. Scared of losing you both completely." With each word they spoke, he sensed a flicker of warmth from the candles. Was it just a trick of the light, or did it hold promise? The woman nodded, her eyes shimmering with understanding. "Let the light guide you. Each flame you share will melt the barriers of your grief." As John and Emily continued to pour out their pain, the flickering candles seemed brighter, their warmth wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. In that moment, the past began to unravel, revealing threads of connection they had almost lost. But just as hope began to swell between them, a sudden gust extinguished several candles, plunging the clearing into darkness. The woman's eyes widened in disbelief. "What does this mean?" John questioned, panic rising in him again. "Sometimes," she paused, "truth can be obscured before it is revealed." As shadows enveloped them, John felt a growing sense of urgency, a drive to pierce through the darkness again and seek out what truly lay beneath. Had they really unearthed the answers they sought, or had they merely ignited deeper questions? With a resolve kindled anew, Emily turned to John. "What happens next?" Their reply lingered in the air, unspoken but heavy with potential. Outside the clearing, the park was silent, waiting. The shadows pressed in around them, a tangible weight that sent a shiver down John's spine. He felt the panic rising, but at the same time, an unexpected clarity. The flickering candles had gone dark, but he clung to the warmth that still lingered in his heart, a flame stubbornly refusing to be snuffed out. He turned to Emily, her face flickering between worry and determination. "Whatever happens, we have to stay together," he said, squeezing her hand again. "Whatever we uncover, we'll face it." Emily nodded, and her grip tightened around his. "I trust you, John. Just let us not turn back now." They stepped further into the darkness, their eyes adjusting slowly. The woman's silhouette shifted, her form somehow both haunting and inviting. "You have taken the first step. Embrace the shadows, for only then will the truth emerge," she said, her voice wrapping around them like a fog. John took a deep breath, steadying himself. "You said this was a place of remembrance. What do we need to remember exactly?" The woman stepped closer, the dim light from the remaining candles glinting off her eyes. "You need to remember Sarah, and also who you both are without her. The grief you carry is just as much a part of your identities as the love you shared with her. Who we are without her," Emily murmured, the words sinking in like stones in a river. "Yeah," John chimed in, trying to process it all. "Maybe we haven't just lost her. Maybe we've lost ourselves along the way." "Exactly," the woman encouraged. "Look around you. Darkness hides nothing. It reveals the very essence of what you carry. Speak your truths again. Share what haunts you. That is where your revelation lies." Taking a step forward, John felt his fears bubble up again. What would he reveal? But then he thought of Sarah, her laughter, her smile, and a deeper, hidden pain pushed through. "I've lived with guilt. I keep asking myself if I missed the signs. If I could have done anything to save her." As he spoke, a few candles flickered back to life, their flames billowing higher, illuminating the clearing. The woman's eyes gleamed with compassion. "Let it out," she whispered. "I was supposed to protect her." He shouted, the words tumbling out like a dam breaking. "It's my job to keep the people I care about safe. What kind of brother am I if I couldn't even do that for her?" The tears flowed freely now, each one carrying the weight of regret. And with each tear, another candle ignited, casting a gentle glow around them. Emily stepped closer, her breath shaky. "I feel it too, John. Every time I think of her, I remember the times I brushed her off or didn't take her seriously. I was too busy with my own fears." "Emily," John whispered, envious of the courage it took her to share. He was so caught in his sadness, yet there was something liberating in her honesty. The flames danced and twirled around them, beckoning them to delve deeper. They began to share more of their memories, of Sarah, each story, both joyful and painful, lighting more candles, pulling shadows away and revealing the vivid colors that surrounded their past. Through the stories, they unearthed emotions that had long been buried, like treasures hidden beneath layers of grief. But just as John felt the warmth of love engulfing them, that same gust swept through again. The cleared flames wavered once more, and from that darkness, a low whisper emerged. "Are you ready for what lies beneath?" it called, chilling the air around them. Emily looked at John, her eyes wide. "What does that mean? What else do we have to face?" His heart raced again, fear prickling at his skin. "I don't know. But we can't stop now. We've come too far." With the flickering flames battling against the darkness, they braced themselves for whatever revelation was coming next. As they waited, the shadows thickened around them, silence draping the clearing like a heavy blanket. "What if we find something we can't handle?" Emily's voice was barely above a whisper. "Then we face it together," John replied, heart pounding. But deep down, he wondered, were they truly prepared for the truth that awaited them? The uncertainty hung in the air, thick and ready to burst. A cold shiver ran down John's spine as the voice echoed again through the clearing, reverberating in the silence that enveloped them. The shadows thickened, almost moving closer, pressing on them with an invisible force. The light from the flickering candles fought bravely to push back the darkness, but it was clear they were at a crossroads. "John, what if we have to confront something about ourselves that we can't accept?" Emily's voice trembled as it cut through the tension, her eyes sparkling with unfallen tears. The woman's presence loomed larger, not just a figure in the dark, but a catalyst for their fears. John's heart raced even faster. "We're already standing in the darkness, Em. This is the time to confront it all. What's behind us can't hurt us anymore if we choose to face it." "Can we hear her?" Emily asked, her eyes darting around, searching the shadows for a sign. Sarah, can she guide us? The woman raised her hand slightly, and the world around them shifted. The candles flared, and with their warm glow came whispers, fluttering through the air like echoes of laughter entwined with cries of sorrow. For a brief moment, John thought he saw a hazy image of Sarah standing among the flickering lights. Sarah, he whispered. A rush of emotions surged up: love, loss, regret. Memories flooded back. Her cheerful banter, her comforting hugs, the sparkle in her eyes that could brighten the darkest room. But then, darkness crept back, drowning the vision. The woman stepped forward again, her voice gentle yet penetrating. To find Sarah, you must first confront what you've buried. She can't help if you don't know what truly ails you. What do you mean? John's voice was raw with confusion. Your choices, your fears, they hold you back. Release them. Only then can you hear her voice truly. The woman urged, nudging the flames higher. Without thinking, John's throat constricted. What is holding me back? I'm here. I'm facing it. Are you? She asked softly, tilting her head. What remains unspoken? What shadows do you shield yourself from? Emily placed her hand on John's arm, encouraging him silently. In that moment, it felt like an unseen barrier had formed around him, an invisible wall built of unacknowledged pain and dread. The last time I saw her, we fought, he finally admitted, his voice breaking. I told her to stay away from my life. I thought I was protecting her from my chaos, but I drove her away instead. I always blamed myself for not reaching out afterward. Tears glimmered in his eyes, each word like a sliver peeling back a layer. The moment his admission left his mouth, the flickering candles exploded into brilliant flames, their light washing over them completely. Emily stepped forward, tears streaming down her cheeks. It's okay to feel this way. It's okay to voice the regrets, John. We're human. I closed myself off from her, thinking I was being strong. I just wanted to hide my own weaknesses. As she spoke, it felt as if the ground they stood on pulsated with energy, the space swirling with their heartfelt confessions. With each revelation, the shadows started to dissolve, breaking apart, revealing more light. Look, John pointed as the mist around them shifted, crafting vague, yet beautiful forms, a gathering of memories, some bright, some weighed down with sorrow, all swirling together. He could see moments from Sarah's life, the joy, the pain mirrored back at him. But then, a strange stillness settled over the clearing, and the woman's face sharpened into an expression of concern. It is not enough to feel. You must do what is needed, both for Sarah and for yourselves. Take the painful steps to find closure. What does that mean? Emily asked, her uncertainty igniting a spark inside John. Only you have the answers, the woman replied before retreating into the shadows, vanishing like smoke in the air. What do you think she meant? Emily's voice trembled as they stood surrounded by illuminated memories. The weight of her words hung heavily between them. I'm not sure, John replied, feeling a mix of fear and urgency. But I know we have to dig deeper. There's something we need to do, something we need to face. The shadows lingered in the corners, still whispering secrets, and the memories danced closer, urging them to draw on their courage once more. What if we're not strong enough? Emily whispered, her voice heavy with trepidation. Then we lean on each other. Like we always have, John promised. Yet, in his heart, a seed of doubt took root. Were they truly prepared for what would come next? The candle flames flickered, urging them to act, to move forward. The air felt electric, charged with the unknown. Let us find Sarah, he said, a mix of resolve and fear threading through his words. Together, as they stepped deeper into the swirling memories, they couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to shift. But with each step, the shadows seemed to whisper, were they ready for the truth that lay ahead? The ground felt different beneath their feet, alive with the energy of those untold stories swirling just out of reach. As John and Emily moved further into the heart of the memories, the air thickened with an intoxicating mix of nostalgia and dread. The candlelight flickered, casting long shadows that danced like echoes of their own fears. John, do you feel that? Emily's voice was barely above a whisper, her breath quickening. Like something is happening, but I can't tell what. He nodded, his heart pounding in rhythm with the pulsing energy around them. It's like the memories are calling out. We can't run away from them anymore. As if in response to his words, the memories began to reshape, the mist coalescing into a vivid scene. John felt his eyes widen as he recognized it, a moment from their last shared laughter with Sarah, just before everything spiraled out of control. It glimmered with brightness, a sunny afternoon, the three of them in a park. Sarah's laughter rang out like music, carefree and radiant, but it quickly faded, replaced by a chilling stillness. "Why are we seeing this?" Emily asked, her eyes darting around as if she expected the scene to collapse into darkness at any moment. "Because we need to remember," John murmured. "We need to face it." Suddenly, the scene cracked, splitting the joyful moment in two. On one side, laughter echoed. On the other, silence fell heavy. The divide screamed at him. How could he have lost her so completely? His heart ached, manifesting as a physical pain in his chest. Memories of their last fight surged through him like a storm. "I pushed her away," he admitted, the weight of his regret emerging from the shadows. "I told her to stop trying to help me, to focus on her own life." Emily stepped closer, her hand squeezing his. "You thought you were protecting her, but she wanted to help. We both pushed her away." The memories shifted again, morphing into a much darker scene, one that made John gasp. It was the night he had heard the news of Sarah's disappearance, police lights flashing, people whispering. The horror etched on Emily's face mirrored his own recollection of that night, a cacophony of shock and heartbreak. "They've searched everywhere, John," Emily said, her voice trembling. "What if she needed us and we weren't there?" That thought pierced him, driving sharp despair into the depths of his chest. Tears prickled at the corners of his eyes. "I never thought I'd feel so helpless. If only I had just called her that day, John," Emily breathed, her gaze locking onto his. "We can't change the past, but this is our chance to reach her, to make this right." Just then, the woman appeared at the edge of their memory. Her eyes locked onto John's with a piercing intensity. "To find her, you must first forgive yourselves," she commanded, her voice a mix of authority and compassion. "Forgive ourselves?" he echoed, the words tasting foreign on his tongue. "How?" "Let go of blame. Speak it. Only then can you begin to heal. You must voice the truth together," she pressed, her presence unwavering. As John looked at Emily, their unspoken pain hung in the air, thick with the promise of what could come next. "I never wanted to hurt her. I wanted her to be safe," he whispered, the truth tumbling out far louder than he anticipated. Emily's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "And I wish I had been there for her. I just didn't want to feel broken." "Then let us say it together," John urged, finding courage in shared vulnerability. "We will not carry this weight anymore. Sarah deserved better from us." In that moment, a warmth enveloped them, rising from the heart of their confessions, illuminating everything around them. The shadows recoiled and twisted away, diminished by the light of their honesty. But before they could fully embrace this newfound clarity, a cold gust swept through the clearing. The whispers crescendoed into a roar, the memories swirling dangerously out of control. Emily flinched, and John clenched his fists, prepared for whatever lay ahead. "John, what if this just makes it worse? What if she's angry?" Emily said, her voice tinged with fear. "Then we face her," he replied, resolute. "It's time to confront everything, even the anger." With a deep breath, they both stepped forward, ready to plunge into the darkness one last time. As they crossed the threshold, they realized something monumental was shifting within them, and the final battle for Sarah's light was just beginning. Would they find her waiting for them, or would they have to endure their greatest fears to finally understand? The air crackled with tension as John and Emily stepped into the swirling darkness. Shadows danced around them like restless spirits, urging them onward. They felt small and insignificant amid the chaos, but there was no turning back now. "Can you see anything?" John asked, squinting into the darkness. The memories whirled around in an unrecognizable tempest, and he felt as though they were being pulled in every direction. Yet somehow, he sensed a path forming, a beckoning light in the distance. It felt like hope. "I don't know. Just stay close to me," Emily shouted over the growing winds of emotion that whipped through the space. Just as he tightened his grip on her hand, the darkness began to part. A spotlight of light emerged like a beacon, illuminating a familiar setting. It was their hometown church, the walls holding decades of memories. John could see flickering candlelight, casting shadows of additional figures around a small altar. It felt nostalgic yet ominous, and as they stepped through the illumination, the sobering reality of the moment sank in. In the midst of the flickering light, familiar faces huddled silently, their heads bowed in prayer. John squinted and recognized them: neighbors, friends, and even those from the church they had grown up in. A group that used to be filled with laughter and joy now stood in solemn sorrow. "Why are they here?" Emily whispered, her voice trembling with confusion. "I think they're praying for Sarah," John breathed, recognizing that their community was grieving just as much as they were. Every face echoed his own heartache. He felt a wave of emotion wash over him. The pain that lived inside him suddenly expanded. It wasn't just his pain, this was theirs too. The entire town had shared in the loss that felt like a weight hanging heavy in the air. Then, something broke the stillness. From the edge of the gathering, a voice soared. A woman, the town pastor, stepped forward. Her face illuminated with grace and resolve. She spoke with a clarity that cut through the darkness. "We gather here in love, in hope, because we believe that the light of Sarah's spirit guides us even in this time of uncertainty." John's heart raced. It hadn't occurred to him how intertwined their grief was with the entire town, how the loss of Sarah affected everyone around them. "Will she come back to us?" A voice cracked in the crowd. The question mirrored their deepest fears, and John felt it reverberate through him. "We must hold on to our love," the pastor continued. "That love connects us to her, wherever she may be. Our prayers are a light through the darkness." Emily's hand tightened around his. She turned to him, her eyes wide with realization. What if our anger at ourselves has kept us from helping others find their way too? We're all trapped in this sorrow together. Maybe we need to lead the way forward," John replied, a flicker of determination igniting within him. "If we can forgive ourselves, maybe we can help them see the light as well." "Together?" she asked, eyes brimming with resolve. Together. The words sealed their commitment, and they stepped forward, sharing their connection to the crowd. John raised his voice, letting the words crash out like waves. "We're not alone. We feel Sarah's love too. We can step into the light together." There was a gasp from the gathered townsfolk, eyes suddenly brightening as they turned toward the couple. A hum of agreement swelled, echoed by whispers of understanding. In that moment, the air transformed, the darkness retreating like the tide. Together, they began to share their stories, each voice lifting the other until the atmosphere shimmered with renewed hope. But just as the energy swelled, a piercing cry cut through the gathering. "Help her!" A voice shouted from the back, sending a ripple of anxiety through the crowd. "She needs us now." John felt a jolt of fear shoot through him. What if this was their breaking point? Would they be able to channel the love they had found, or would it send them spiraling back into despair? As the town turned toward that desperate plea, John realized that their journey was far from over. They stood on the edge of something monumental, hovering between hope and uncertainty. What more did the shadows hold? The fear that gripped John was all-consuming. His body felt like it was made of lead as he tried to piece together what this all meant. "Who needs help?" he called out, scanning the crowd. "What is happening?" From the back of the gathering emerged a frantic figure, Sarah's mother, her face etched with lines of worry and love. "It's Sarah." I felt her spirit, and it's as if she's trying to find her way back. Her voice trembled, desperation lacing her words. John and Emily shared a glance, the weight of the situation weighing heavy upon them. "We can help her," Emily whispered, her determination ignited all over again. "If we can face our truth, then maybe we can reach her." The entire community looked to each other, a flicker of shared understanding lighting up the atmosphere. They realized that their grief came from the same source, a loved one longing for connection in a world that felt distant and alone. "Sarah needs to know we love her," John declared. The voices of the crowd swelled around him, unified in purpose and strength. "We have to call out to her. Use the love we've buried in our hearts to send her a message. Let her know she's not alone." "Together," Emily echoed, her spirit lifted by the thought of their combined strength. They would not let fear dictate their actions any longer. With a collective breath, the townspeople began to chant, their voices swelling into a harmonious hymn, sharing their love and support. "Sarah, we love you. We're here for you." Each voice became part of a greater pulse, resonating through the air, their combined emotions lifting the weight of sorrow slowly, like the dawn breaking over the horizon. In that moment, memories flooded John's heart, ones of joy, laughter, and vibrant connection shared with Sarah. He saw her smile, her laugh, the light in her eyes, and he remembered why she mattered so much to them all. As the chant continued, John felt something warm behind his eyes. Yes, Sarah, come back to us. In that prayer, a surge of hope moved through him like wildfire, spreading to Emily, then rippling outward to the congregation. Her mother, bathed in the light of the candles, joined in, tears streaming down her face. We're here, baby girl. We will find you. You're never alone. Suddenly, the air thickened, an electric current surged as they chanted louder, as if they were bridging a gap between worlds. John instinctively reached for Emily's hand, their bond stronger than ever as they lent their voices to the myriad of others expressing their love and desire to reconnect. The darkness began to swirl, but now it felt softer, somehow, as if welcoming their combined emotions. And slowly, amidst their fervor, another light flickered in the distance, revealing a shadowy figure that appeared almost ethereal. Sarah? Emily breathed, the name breaking from her lips like a prayer. The figure hesitated, but then, tears filled its eyes, and it stepped closer, emerging from the dark storm that had been holding it captive for too long. It was then that John could see her face, illuminated by the surrounding candlelight, a face filled with pain, but also filled with love, longing, and hope. Yes, John shouted as he recognized her, the emotions guiding his voice. We're here for you. Come back to us. Sarah glanced at the gathering, at the faces of her loved ones, her friends, her family, and as the realization dawned that they truly meant it, the space around her shifted. The shadows retreated as the light enveloped them all, wrapping them in warmth. For a heartbeat, everything hung in perfect harmony, and then, as the voices rose, Sarah stepped forward into the glow. It was her, the same vibrant spirit they remembered, albeit heavier with the weight of her choice to leave and the battles she fought alone. Sarah, Emily cried, bursting into joyful tears. We thought we lost you. I was lost, Sarah admitted, her voice trembling yet strong. But you kept calling me home. John felt his chest swell with emotion, the tears he had held back finally pouring forth. You were never alone. You don't have to hide from us anymore. Sarah stepped even closer, looking around at all the faces that had once been a source of joy. I tried to run away. I thought that was the only way. But it wasn't. John said firmly, his heart pounding. We should been there for each other. We've all been consumed by our own fears. As her eyes glimmered with newfound understanding, Sarah nodded. We can't let fear separate us. I ran because I thought everyone would be happier without my chaos. But I see that now. It was my silence that hurt you all. The crowd began to weep openly, the depths of their shared experience pouring forth. It wasn't just you, Sarah. We all carried our burdens, the town pastor said softly, stepping forward. But together, we've found a way to ignite our love again. It'll light your path home. With a deep breath, John stepped up closer, his heart overflowing with hope. We can face whatever darkness lies ahead, together. Can you help us find a way? Sarah smiled, not an easy smile, but one touched by the bittersweet grace of a journey lived. Yes, I'm finally ready. But we have to light the way for one another. There's strength here, in this love. Suddenly, the shadows that had clung to them transformed, becoming tendrils that flickered away into nothingness, replaced by the brilliance of their shared journeys, illuminating the clearing. And together, encircled by the love they had ignited, John, Emily, Sarah, and the entire community joined hands, embracing a future filled with hope, understanding, and transformation. In that moment, they knew they could walk forward, hand in hand, ready to illuminate the dark corners of their hearts, for they were no longer just a collection of silenced fears. They had become a family united in love. So, are you ready to support this journey of illumination and transformation? Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find this light. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. Share your own stories of transformation. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans know the importance of building a community through love and connection.